right, Matty, welcome back to the Ask Matty Show. Back again. Matty, how are you feeling?
Hey, I'm doing great. New year, new week. Last week was so far a good week, so I'm very optimistic about where this year's heading so far. How about you, Gav?
Absolutely, Matty. I am so excited, actually. January 10th is the supposed to be approval for spot Bitcoin ETF across the board. So we're going to be talking about that today. I know we got some questions about that. Also about Casper Validators, top exchanges, and strategy with swapping altcoins. But in today's show, team, we're going to have a lot of good content today, so make sure you stick around. But before we get into that, become a Crypto Charge member. Matty, share them the code we got going on right now.
Yeah, so when you guys go to checkout, it doesn't matter which plan you pick from. We have a monthly option, a quarterly option, and a yearly option. I know some of you guys are in different budgets. Some of you guys maybe earn a commission. Maybe some of you guys get paid bi-weekly or monthly. We want to make sure we have options for you guys in there. But all of those options, once you select one, will lead you to a page where you get a discount code option at the top. And I know some of you guys have missed this from the get-go because you've messaged me after you've signed up, go, whoops, I missed out on this. I want to make sure you guys don't get charged for that and have to do the refund and all that stuff. So when you go to checkout, put code YouTube, and that will give you 50% off any membership of your choosing. So that will be 50% off the monthly, so you get for $50 a month, or 50% off that yearly for $4.99 for the year, which basically comes out to $41 a month. So you save yourself a little bit of money if you're willing to just commit for the year. And all of those come with a 30-day free trial, no matter what you choose. So within those 30 days, you go, hey, this is not for me. It's not really what I was looking for. Shoot us an email. We'll make sure you get taken care of. We won't charge you a dime.
I love that, Matty. And team, you can get that. The link to the website will be in the pinned comment down below in the comment section, along with our shop link. And team, just make sure you subscribe. We are on, I mentioned this last show, we're on the road to 10K here. And I told Matty, May of this year, we're going to hit 10K. That is our projection, but we got to continue what we got going on here. So make sure you subscribe. That greatly helps us. So Matty, let's get into the content here. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Danny Smith, or Dan Smithy 2016, says, will an approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF propel the market further with huge alt appreciation, or will this just be another day in crypto?
In relation to volatility, we'll always have, volatility in crypto no matter what's going on, right? Even with some of these down days that we've had recently, I think they take people by surprise. They're like, wow, I can't believe XYZ altcoin is down 8 or 10 or 12% today. But then they forget about the back-to-back 15, 18, 30% days, right? So we're always going to have some of that volatility, but specifically in relation to the spot Bitcoin ETF. And I think that people maybe are a little bit confused about what's going on with the ETF situation right now, because they're like, wait, I already thought I could go buy BTO or some of these other tickers out here that give me exposure to Bitcoin. Correct. But they're not spot ETFs, meaning that they track the price of Bitcoin pretty close, but it's not necessarily backing a one-to-one Bitcoin position. Whereas, these spot ETFs would be essentially custodians holding large amounts of Bitcoin, and then that ETF giving you that direct exposure to that direct Bitcoin that somebody is holding on your behalf, and to some extent, right? So when you have large money managers like Fidelity, who has trillions of dollars assets under management, right? BlackRock, we've got all Vanguard, we've got all these, money managers with people who have already, managed their stock portfolios there. They buy their yearly S&P 500, right? So that they can get their dividends reinvested there. That's where they already do most of their retirement planning if they don't have somebody who's already just doing all of this stuff for them, right? So if I can, without having to do a whole lot of thinking, a whole lot of work, just go into the same platform that I always go into, click, add this to my portfolio at this price, and I know, hey, in 5 years, this will be worth 3x, 4x, 5x what I paid for it. As an older investor who doesn't want to be in the business of custody and paying attention to exchanges and just wants to have that exposure, that is my best bet. So I think from an adoption standpoint, very, very big. This is also important because it opens the door for altcoin spot ETFs as well, right? It opens the door for an Ethereum spot ETF, for an XRP spot ETF. Do I really love other people managing and holding these things on my behalf for me personally? No, I would rather just do it myself, especially when you'll have the opportunity to. And I don't have to depend on third parties to be good custodians of my money. Now, I don't think Fidelity or any of these guys like Vanguard are going to put themselves in a position where they start, rugging everybody and lose all their credibility and trillions of dollars, right? So I don't think that they're in danger, but I always prefer self-custody. The bigger part of the question here is, what does this mean for alts? What have we been seeing already, right? Bitcoin goes up on a little bit of flurry on news, and altcoins kind of scurry along, right? As dominance creeps up, Bitcoin kind of takes the bigger lead. Altcoins rally a little bit. As we see dominance go down and Bitcoin stay relatively stable, we see altcoins do really well behind that, right? It's just kind of like this galloping game that they play and alternating between, surges and drops and dominance. So initially, Spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, Bitcoin's going to take the horns there, right? No doubt about that. Dominance will shoot straight up. Maybe it's a couple of days of really big excitement. You got people, buying the ETF. You got people, getting on Coinbase, getting excited about that. And then we'll probably, after we see that cool off, we'll probably start to see altcoins pick up here as well. Now, one thing that I want you guys to remember is that yes, we are coming up on the halving, which is not necessarily a binary indicator of bull market or not bull market, right? We're looking at previous periods of economic expansion, and they have happened to line up so far with this 4-year halving cycle, right? We can still have very big knockbacks in this cycle, right? So don't be surprised. Hey, Bitcoin goes to, let's say, the mid 50s and then crashes $6,000 or $7,000, right? Higher highs and higher lows can be established, and same thing with the altcoin market. So don't think that you can just buy into this hype and that's it. We're never looking back. We're never seeing this price again. It may not be the case, right? So yes, I think it's gonna be a good catalyst, a lot of good fundamental narratives for us to be able to drive forward the adoption of crypto, but it doesn't guarantee, hey, Bitcoin to 100K in the next 2 months, right? I just want you guys to remember that.
Sam Walker 5035 says, what about my cue on how and when the Casper validators can vote to stop inflation?
Well, we always want to try to get to as many questions as possible. We have limited time here on the Ask Matty show. If you guys want your questions answered more immediately, more regularly, the Discord community is a great place for that, and that's part of your membership. So that $50 a month includes the updates we do, the coin library, but then it's also the Discord. So you tag out moderators in there. We're going to direct you to resources or answer your questions. So if you're bummed out you didn't get answered here and you want to answer faster, jump in the Discord. I promise we'll get back to you guys. But in relation to this particular question, right, when you look at validators on Casper, their sole responsibility is to verify transactions, right? It's not so much for the participation and governance of the protocol, other than, of course, making sure that everything is operating within the framework that we've all agreed on, right? Which is very clear code you can go download from GitHub off of the casper.network website. Inflation is something that's actually baked into a lot of tokens, including a crowd favorite Ethereum. 4.5% right now is the average annual inflation rate. For Casper, it's about 8% right now. And when you look at the staking, right, the staking that is being paid out on Ethereum, plus the fees and the initial stake, because Ethereum is really expensive to stake. API 3 kills me every time I go to stake it with those fees. Good thing that this is part of my long-term bag, for the stuff I have staked in there. It's not something really someone that's bothersome when you have a staking reward that is greater than the inflation rate, right? Now, when we start to see maybe an inverse of that, like let's say it's 8% inflation and they're only paying this like 1.8% on our Casper, well, yeah, then maybe you're going to have kind of like this imbalance within that mechanism. But they're generally, you're not going to try to have that such a disgusting offset in the opposite way, because that's going to detract investors from keeping their stuff staked, right? So when you look at Ethereum, again, same situation. They have a 4.5% inflation rate. They pay like 4 to 5% on their Ethereum, right? So I want us to look at other mechanisms that are proof of stake that are high quality that also have inflation and give them the same weight, right? Maybe that changes down the road. Maybe the inflation rate comes down. Maybe it goes away. But the idea here is that we're going to have real computational demand on the networks. I know what you guys are thinking. Like, well, if you put more coins on the market, that's going to make my shares go down. But like, we're talking about over long periods of time, right? Like, we're not talking about, all the supply gets dumped all at once a year, and then that makes price go down, right? You have kind of like this consistent inflation rate. So as the network grows, right, and we do hope genuinely deep down as long-term holders, right? Like we're talking about 5, 6, 7 years out, right? That over time, there is so much computational demand on this network that the inflation, it really just helps alleviate a little bit of that pricing, right? Because you still want people to use the protocol and make sure it's affordable, right? That 70 Casper still needs to be affordable 5 years from now. It can't be this egregious rate to, put a car title on the blockchain, right? If I have to pay $500 to register my $500 ship box, right? It doesn't make sense for me to do that. So there still needs to be kind of this balance when it comes to usability and actual computational demand long-term on a network. I don't have a problem with it. And again, I'm still out earning the inflation rate with the staking rewards from Casper.
John Gotti 222 says, what exchanges are you using this year?
So unfortunately, we had to kick BitGet and KuCoin this year. One thing since day one, really, I've always talked to my audience about is like, guys, these are just marketplaces, right? Like, don't romanticize them. Stop trying to use these like your brokerage accounts. When we figure it out down the line, like where the actual, high quality, fully reserved, exchanges are, it's probably going to be a Coinbase, and we'll see more pop up over time after we kind of get that framework. And it's like, this is how you register an exchange, right? That's what's really keeping a lot of people from providing good liquidity. There's more than enough money managers out there. There's more than enough liquidity. There's more than enough clients who want exposure. It's just that we don't have the framework to say, in order to not get sued or lose all of your profits or spend all of your money battling the SEC, you have to do X, Y, and Z, right? But we don't have that right now. So everybody out here right now is a pioneer in the space, and they're taking huge risks, providing liquidity to us, retail investors, who are, in the eyes of the SEC and every other regulatory body, the most important investor to protect, because we're all so stupid that we can't just make a decision for ourselves, right? And unfortunately, there is a big population that thinks it's somebody else's responsibility to make decisions for them, even when they decided to get into crypto on a certain exchange or this, that, and the other. What am I using this year? I am using MEXC right now. And again, I'm not leaving huge copious amounts of money on there. If I decide to take a little bit of time off of leverage trading, I take the money out and I just drop it in cold storage. I come back the next week and I get in trades again. I'm going to pop that USDT back in. It's a little small fee. It's a little bit of annoyance, but might as well pack it away if I'm not using it for the short term, right? I do a weekly sweep off of all exchanges, including Coinbase, and those go into my cold storage wallet. So basically, it's a combo of MEXC and Coinbase right now. The reason that I'm still buying stuff on Coinbase is because a lot of those assets are covered from a DCA standpoint under my Coinbase One program. So I pay no trading fees for $30 a month up to $10,000 in volume. And because I DCA so regularly, right, we're talking about like a daily DCA, each one of those transactions would be like $2, $3, $4 here, right? It just absolutely would be killing you if you don't have that. So the majority of my DCA is done on Coinbase because of that program. And then I have a few things like Casper on MEXC that I garner there, as well as some of the leverage trading. But again, any foreign exchanges, you have to be careful. Try not to trust them like your own home, right? Buy the assets, take them off the marketplace, take them into self-custody, or at least a software wallet, right? Like at least something that's a little bit more self-custody than the exchange itself.
You're not buying on Uphold yet?
No, I'm not buying an Uphold. It's again, is if you really got to have exposure and you like Uphold, they are fully reserved. I don't have any concerns about insolvency. It's really just the fee schedule and the non-existent limit orders that really bother me. The limit orders do not work. Go ahead and set a limit order on Uphold right now and see if you actually get filled. You don't. And I'm not talking about missing by a fraction of a penny. I'm talking about missing like on XRP, like you set a limit for 55 and it comes down to 50 and you're still not getting filled for some reason. And I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands of XRP. I'm talking about a few thousand XRP, right? Like an exchange that's fully liquid should be able to handle that. And they just don't have the AMM interface to be able to handle large volume. So I highly recommend using anything but Uphold, especially if you care about getting good pricing and not having a bunch of slippage on your orders.
Yeah, and that's true. It's funny because some of our like most viewed videos are the Uphold videos, like the Uphold exchange videos we've done. And it's funny, over the time, more and more comments creep because that's what videos naturally do. They gain, traction over time. And it's funny just seeing, and I can't even tell the stories are true because I don't do anything on Uphold. So people are like popping the videos saying, I'm having this problem on Uphold, I'm having this problem. And it seems like a lot of these people, the root problem is that they're leaving cryptos on exchange when you should fix that by just pulling it into cold storage, right? Instead of having this, you see FUD online. It's like, oh, what's going on with this with Uphold, And, you just get lost in the sauce there. And it's just like, dude, just fix what you got going on and put it
Don't be a victim.
storage.
Have a plan. Like, make sure you're being intentional about it, right? Like, a lot of you guys, like, hop into a platform, like, and you don't even know how it works, right? You're like, the fact that you don't know where the deposit and withdrawal buttons are is, like, wildly concerning to me. Like, you should know how to do all of these things before you're, like, fully integrated into them, right? Because what's going to happen? You're putting yourself in a spot of panic, whether it be a coin delisting or you don't have withdrawal abilities or you need to get it off into another exchange because there's not enough liquidity where you are, right? Like those are things that you should have that planned out well ahead of time. And unfortunately, Uphold doesn't give you enough options, in my opinion. Like I've had spot orders. Again, I'm talking about like $3,000, $4,000 spot orders, not fill at market because they're just having server issues or they're having, whatever. We can't fill it at this time. We're having technical issues, whatever the situation is. I'm not talking about like crazy volatility or anything. Uphold is a liquid exchange, but it is far from the best exchange when it comes to market execution.
Jason Burr 8631 says, I have a little Bitcoin, 0.04 to be exact. What are your thoughts on swapping for something like XRP, Casper, or VeChain? Thanks again.
All right. So yeah, we're talking about like maybe a little less than $2,000 current market price. What's Bitcoin at? 46.8. So yeah, like roughly 2K, a little under 2K. If Bitcoin is your only holding, it comes down to, first of all, a few things. And this is going to be true of no matter what asset we're talking about. What is your cost basis? What is your exit plan, right? If you have a good cost basis, let's say that your cost basis on Bitcoin is under $25,000, right? You have a pretty decent cost basis. in perspective to the last cycle, 25K, right? And you're like, okay, I think Bitcoin's going to be over $100,000 by the end of the cycle, right? So I want to sell some Bitcoin at 100K. I want to sell some at 125. I want to sell some at 150, right? But I also see the long-term picture for Bitcoin, and I think that Bitcoin's going to be worth 250 or 3 or 400,000 or whatever you think it's going to be worth in the future, right? Maybe you can parcel that out and you can, take some profits now and then keep some of it long-term because your cost basis is good. I don't think I have enough information here to honestly give you an opinion, because if Bitcoin is the only thing that you have, then yeah, maybe it's a good idea to diversify into a few other altcoins and divvy it up. It's not an enormous amount of Bitcoin. Maybe it's also a good consideration to just add a little bit of capital as you're able to. You don't have to try to build a position up to the same size immediately, right? Sometimes it means chipping away $25 at a time, $50 at a time, whatever. I've worked with a lot of people, especially a lot of younger people who just don't have, those big consistent paychecks yet, because they're just getting started, started in the workforce, and they're like, oh, I don't have this much money to throw at it. But it's more about making the budget for yourself. And if it's a small budget, like $25 every paycheck, you're still going to get a great reward, right? Dollar cost averaging into some of these altcoins at $25 a paycheck, $50 a month, right? Over the next 6 to 8 to 9 months. And that's going to be worth a lot more than it is today. And you're going to have a bigger nest egg to work with over and over again, right? So don't feel like you need to be doing a lot of this ship jumping back and forth, chasing things around. But if you're in great profit, you see the potential in some of the other alts, yeah, maybe you sell some of it and then you rotate it into it. But again, it really comes down to your cost basis and your overall long-term goals.
BTC Dad 11 says, what is a better gift to you? 0.08 Bitcoin or 80,000 Casper?
Oh, give me the 80,000 Casper all day. It's just, you look at Casper, 80,000 Casper, right? You're looking at $1 for Casper, right? That's $80,000, right? Like, that's ridiculous to me. And Casper trading at 5 pennies right now. So, it really comes down to risk reward ratio. I think so many people get blinded by pricing, right? Like, they look at Ethereum and Bitcoin and Solana and they're like 3 figures, 4 figures, 5-figure coin. Guys, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything at all, because your gain is a percentage gain, right? The difference between 5 cents and $1 is exponentially more powerful and more important than Bitcoin from between $48,000 and $80,000, right? So I want you guys to think about that, right? It's the price does not matter, right? Why were millionaires made in Doge and Doge was worth less than $1, right? It was the percentage gain between those dirt low prices and then that new all-time high, right? Who made the most money in these altcoins? The people who bought at 0.000000, right? Those are the people that we are right now within the Casper community, right? Sub 5 cents, you are that 0.00000 person, in my opinion, right? So for me, I'm always going to look at risk to reward. Of course, I want to have strong fundamentals in that, which Casper does. I think it runs laps around Bitcoin and a variety of things, especially when it comes to smart contracts, right? That's not even something that we have like natively available on Bitcoin right now. And I think that just has a better long-term future. This is true of tech as a whole, right? Like, imagine if you only double down on Nokia. You're like, no, Nokia makes solid phones, which they do. They're bricks, right? Like, they're not going anywhere. But like, if you still had to choose today, yeah, maybe if you're going to the wilderness, you'd pick the Nokia because like it's not going to break. But like, the functionality of your phone today blows BlackBerry and Nokia and everybody who made, the best phones back in the day completely out of the water, right? So, again, I'm not here to bash Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere anytime soon. But I think that there's not only better ROI, but exponentially better tech in a lot of these assets that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years, because they're able to work off the building blocks of products before them, see what didn't work, see where the inefficiencies are, and of course, build on top of that, right? Like, these coders are constantly sharing on GitHub all these different, mechanisms and ways to improve. We're only going to see a pickup, right, in the amount of development in the blockchain, and that's going to become more and more steep, right? That curve becomes more and more steep because we have more and more to build on. Same way with tech right now, right? We're able to build and innovate on tech exponentially faster because we have widespread internet resources, right? We have widespread access to technology, right? I can go sign up on a booth right now and get a touchscreen phone for absolutely nothing from the state of California. Technology is highly accessible now, and it will only become more accessible. And through that, we'll have much better tech even 10 years from now, right? So I never want to be glued down, but I think short term, next, let's say even 3 to 5 years, Casper's it.
I love that, Matty. A lot of good topics today. Jeez, guys, you guys really brought it today.
Brought it out of me.
Brought it here for Matty today. And I know, Matty, you like to get on some of those tangents there. When people ask good questions, not like, absolutely, what's your conservative Casper price prediction? I know we get those all the time, but it's like these are stimulating questions and questions that matter for this year. So team, if you're not in a crypto community, which most of you probably not, or you're not tapped into something that's crypto educational and you have no idea, Crypto charge is where it's at. I know we shill it all the time, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to show crypto charge, but we're here on Ask Matty Show to provide you guys with education that Matty provides here. And Matty, you do such a good job every single week, and that's why everyone tunes in. And so, team, if you're not tapped in, you need to tap in, because this year is going to be a big year. We've talked about this plenty of times and what that means for this year. So make sure you tap in. Matty, anything to leave the team with here?
I'm like you said, I'm just very optimistic about this entire year. I don't think it's a straight line up, but I am very excited about a lot of the potential that we have in these coins. I'm very excited about getting some more really great swing trades and leverage trades in. We just kind of started getting heated up at the end of last year, and we got some really nice wins on the board there. We had like a 2,000% Casper trade that we offer with like a very tight stop loss on X. We offer all kinds of trade setups like that in our Discord community with a stop loss, take profit, and entry. We also have the tools for you guys to get involved with that, understanding risk management. We have the courses there for you guys, so you're not just trying to do the guesswork and figure out how to not lose all your money, right? We teach you how to do that if you're willing to spend a little bit of time and then get involved with it, and get involved with the community. So I hope you guys at least give us a try, at least kind of see what our program's about. Again, program's not going to be for everyone, but I do think it's for most of you guys that tune into the Ask Matty Show regularly, because this is the same sentiment and content that we talk about, but on a more granular level. And of course, we have all the resources on our website. So I'd love for you guys to at least come and give us a try and give me your feedback, even if you don't like our program.
I love that, Matty. All right, we're done for today, team. We will see you next week. Bye.